Hello and hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Here in the studio, we thank God for the privilege of this opportunity, a special opportunity and a special day for me, especially for a day that we're going to look into mental health. Earlier we had Dottie, the Queen. It was a very good blessing communication we had, a conversation that was enriching. And I want to kind of encourage anybody, if you have a minute, go back to that video. It's on YouTube under Mbarikiwa Media Ministry, or on YouTube under Mbarikiwa TV. On the stage, or right here on the studio, I have Sarah Okindo. Sarah is one special friend, and she's been a blessing to many. She's one, if you search on YouTube, you'll see so many videos that she shared. She's passionate about what she has and what she shares to the world. And her goal is just to know that she wishes everybody can know these things. So, welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
My name is Sarah. Sarah OKINDO. I am a mom of four. My children, two girls, two boys. Love mentioning their names. They're my gems: Sydney, Ashley, Ryan, and Eli. I'm also, I work in the medical field. So I really do encounter a lot of what goes on in mental health. We've seen the young come in, we've seen older people come in, and it is something that resonates within my heart because I feel like our community does not really embrace this as much. And so I'm really glad to be here, at least to be able to address these little aspects.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I had a very good discussion with Dochi, and mental illness is not really much understood, especially by our community. I want to narrow down to that. And you know, it's true that the whole world doesn't understand because we don't know what's ailing. We don't know we know it's in your brain, and you can't even explain how it is. But what do you think is where can we start from as a community to understand this and to be aware?
You know, everything that you do in life comes in how we were socialized. We grew up in an environment where the sicknesses that we knew are headaches, stomachache, backache. Mental health was not something that really existed. And the way it was introduced to us while we were growing up is somebody's mind has gone cuckoo, like you're not okay. So we grew up knowing that that is what it is. And since we were not given an explanation of it's okay to be sick, it's okay to support somebody who's mentally ill, we always ran from these people. We always try to distance them from the society. And so that is the first thing of really accepting what is going on around us, and that mental health is not a disease. It is not something that someone would want to bring to themselves, and it's something we can embrace versus having to really isolate.
So, and I saw some staggering statistics the other day that there's a bigger percentage that is suffering from this illness. As much as with the COVID now, it has gone up. Are you able? Do you have any statistics you can share with us or something about that?
Well, absolutely. So if we look at, I'm just going to kind of narrow down to the diaspora right now for now, because that is where most of our children are. And then I'll kind of widen it to the larger community. So if we look at COVID has affected so many families. Families have been torn apart where, you know, maybe the head of the family is gone. You'd have children fending for themselves. Statistics have it that right now it's about 50% of teenagers, and we're talking about teenagers as in children who are aged between 13 and 19. 50% of these children are more susceptible to committing suicide due to COVID-19 effects. And we're talking about the effect as in being isolated from their friends, being in the house, you know, under the quarantine, not having enough time with parents to talk about issues that is going on with them. And more so, the biggest part is just the isolation aspect in these children. And so the CDC itself says, we can take care of the disease itself, but we cannot take care of what the effects the disease brings. So looking at that, I mean, 50% is a big number. That is like one, for every two teenagers, one is susceptible to committing suicide. The other thing is there's a 17% rise in depression in the teenagers, given the fact that they're not able to really talk to their friends like they used to, where media has become the only way that they can connect with their friends versus the physical connection. Um, it is really a staggering amount. And when you look at what is really going on, we have the elections coming in, we have COVID, we have the flu season. It's amazing.
50% is a high number.
It's a very high number.
And so if you have two teenagers in your house, that
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful. That means one of them is going through
One
a
of
hard
them.
time. Yeah.
Correct.
And also there's also about couples. I think it has gone high because
Mm-hmm.
you guys are home. You have nothing much to do, and no work. No, I think it's a hard time. And when you mention 50%, I'm like, okay, that's really high.
Mm-hmm.
As we get into more of this, I want to let our viewers know that they can ask questions live. We'll always address them. If you're watching on YouTube, just write your comment there, your question there. We'll address it right now. If you're watching on Facebook, please just share it right now. Send your question. Sarah is here. She's very experienced in this and she'll help us go through it. Otherwise, we are going to keep your questions until next month, because next month, the whole month, we'll be talking about this. Rispa Kemunto. Somebody say that. Doti. Now, I want to. How do we know? How do we detect?
The warning signs, you mean?
Yes.
The warning signs. So the one thing that I can say is in teenagers, young adults, it's very hard to really know that they're going through depression, and especially right now in the setting that we are in. So I'm just going to give my household as an example.
Okay.
So we are a household of five, and you'd expect that during times that we are in the house, we would have some time, some meal time, so like breakfast together. Then the kids would have some schoolwork that is Monday through Friday. And then after that, they would have lunch. And then there's some time leeway where they can do what they want to do. Now, if you really look at the setting that these kids have, most of the time you'd find that they would be in the bedroom talking together. So the boys will be in their own and the girls will be in their own room. They would come for consultation when I'm here. Or sometimes I would kind of fish them and I would say, it's time out from your rooms. You have to be here, electronics aside, and we have to talk and do something together. So there's higher chances of us thinking that your teenager is okay when they're in their room, isolated, doing their own thing. If you find your teenager spending most of their time, especially meal times, because those are the times that you're supposed to be eating together as a family. When you call your teenager and say, hey, supper is ready, or breakfast is ready, or lunch is ready, and the first thing you see is they drag their feet, they would come and get their food and then go back to their room. If they spend most of the time in their room by themselves, that is a sign of depression.
Okay.
It is really going to be hard to be able to do that unless you talk to your teenager. How much time do they engage with you? How much time do they want to be by themselves? If they spend more time by themselves without having to be with the other family members, that is something that you should really think about. The second thing is,
Before you move from there, there's something really special that you're saying. It means, some of us, we know, or we just have concluded in our minds that, teenagers always, they want to rebel, they want to be fun. They don't want to
correct.
spend time with us. And so when they're in their rooms, we say, wako sawa, they're okay, they have their phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just them. They don't want to spend with us. And what you're saying is, we still need to follow up. We still need time with them.
Mm-hmm.
So are we able to, as you said, do we sit and make that plan, or are we able to make an agreement that, you can be in your room between this time and this time, but at this time come out and let's all of us have a dinner together, a meal together, or,
It is doable, and it always depends on the family setting that you have.
Okay.
You know your child, you know the setting that you have. For me and my children, we are like, they're like my sisters. We spend so much time together, we dance together. So when it comes to talking to them about issues like this, so let's say if they spend most of the time in the bed, I don't want to say that this is what any parent would do, but I usually go take their blankets off and I say, hey, if you're not getting out here, I'm spending the time in your bedroom, so kind of make some jokes with them, be a friend to them, because that is the only way that they're going to be opening up. But if you play that role of being a parent as in you're just there to lay down the rules, make sure and enforce the rules and make sure that they're followed, be a friend to your child, because that is the only way that will make it easier for them to open up to you. Um, that is one of the things that I use. The second thing is teenagers usually want their time. We all want our personal space, right?
Yeah, true.
Respect their time. So if a teenager comes to you and says, hey, mom, I just want to spend some time alone, just be like, okay, it's okay. But then within the next hour, I want to talk to you. So you're not really pushing them away or trying to be in their face, but at the same time, you're really respecting their time and whatever they want to really be left alone for a little bit. Um, those are the two major things that I really kind of use: respecting their personal space and also being closer to them than just being a parent.
That's special. Loosen up, right? And spend
Loosen up,
time with
exactly.
spend time with your children. Have at least something you do with them, play with them, or something like that. Watch a
Yep,
movie with them. I
yep.
have a movie night every Saturday night. So have time with them that you share. That again, some parents, if you have nothing to do with them, then you don't have much to talk about. Leta chakula tukule, aya, good night, good morning, enda
Mm-hmm.
shule. So
Mm-hmm.
I think during those periods is when also you are able to figure out what is going on. You can see a difference from what they were yesterday, a week ago, and what they are today.
Mm.
Yeah.
True.
So that taking time, I think, is one great thing. And then electronics. You mentioned electronics. I wanted you to go deeper a little bit about that. We
Hey,
assume they're on their
electronic.
phones. They love their phones. They're always on
This
their
is
phones.
Generation X, man.
Yeah, it's their generation
Hey, this
working
is
more.
Generation X. So electronics are a big part of, it is something that we had to sit down and talk about. I allow them to use the electronics, but at the same time, you have to have some time away from these electronics, calling it electronic break, where their phones are put in one area, and usually by exactly 9:30 at night, those phones have to be with me. Because guess what's going to happen? They will be using those electronics at night. And I know that that is the way that they're trying to connect with their friends. But there needs to be a systematic way that they can be able to do this. So, say, for example, they wake up in the morning, they have to use the electronics because now most of the schools are online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leave alone that. Then they have to take a break, and the break that they have is talking to their friends on their phone, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Well, I don't think they use Facebook now. I think it's TikTok.
Yeah, they have moved to TikTok. They
Facebook,
move to the next one very fast.
Facebook is ours.
Yeah.
They don't use Facebook. But these social media platforms that they really utilize to be able to do this, I tend to really kind of get away from that by allowing the children to choose a friend, one friend or two, that they can have some time together with, say on a particular day, maybe a Saturday or a Friday, where they can have that connection by using social distancing, masks on, because you need to have someone physically that you're talking to.
Yeah.
There's a difference between talking to somebody versus having to talk to them on the phone or you're chatting with
Or
them by
texting them. Yeah.
text.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something a bit, the American Pediatric Company talked about how a mind of a child resonates with electronics and an overuse of that, what it does to the mind. It takes the focus off when they're in a setting of like a congregation or a social setting to be able to listen and look at the listener. I mean, the person who's talking. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because most of the time they're just on their phone. And that becomes something that is a norm to them. So when it gets to a place where you put them in a setting where they have to be in a group setting, say they're having a conversation, they're talking with someone else, their minds are always set to, I have to hold on to something that I have to be texting. So it has become more of like, and it's gotten from being a norm to becoming something that can affect their health. So that is why it is very important to really encourage that social aspect. And I know it's something that most parents might agree or disagree with due to the fact that we know how the numbers are spiking right now. But at the same time, when you think about it, physically and mentally, those two things have to be at balance for your child to be okay.
True.
So having to really give them some time to spend with their friends physically versus having to use electronics really does help. But the biggest part as a parent, have a laid out time when they can use their electronics and when they cannot. There's schoolwork, but there's also the social or the entertainment aspects. So make sure that you know who are they talking to. And this is the African parents, we do that. I do that all the time. Look at the phone, see who they are talking to. Because honestly, I mean, if you think about it, even if we say that, okay, we want to let our children kind of socialize and kind of have this on their way, you don't know who's on the other side of the line. So try and kind of track that. Kind of try and um, talk to your children into knowing what are the norms, what is the good and the bad side of having to really focus on this too much, and who are they talking to? Know their friends and set limits.
Set limits.
Yep.
Now, I want to take you back a little bit. There's something you're saying here. Y- you know, again, I'm now thinking that your teenager, most of their time, if they're home, they're in their rooms.
Yep.
And at the movies, when I watch movies, at the when they're in prison, when somebody does something wrong, they're taken to a solitude room when you're all by yourself. And if you sit there, you can go crazy by yourself in that room. Again, an empty mind, we know, is the devil's workshop.
Correct.
And what you're saying here is have your children or the young people spend time outside with our friends. You know, you're saying at least, again, watching all regulations, you can take them out to meet with their friends, eat dinner with their friends or something like that. There's something here, Dottie has said something here. Family setup is the first thing that you said, and she said that's really true. And then she said relationship with your kids helps a parent to know when a child is depressed. Because you can't know this by just them walking in and eating and going back. You saying ugali imekuwa tayari kuja kule ama kuja upike, because they'll do that, they'll go back, you'll never know what's going on. And then Dot is bringing now the point that you're talking about monitoring their electronics. She's saying that there's cyberbullies, so it's important to parent to monitor those what they are watching, what they are doing, who they are talking to, and their friends be your friends. So in that, again, I'm going back to you have to have a relationship with your child.
Correct.
Have things that you do in common, and then be free up. Don't be so tight into rules. Fanya, and you're not taking time to be free to them, so that they're able to tell you that, you know, I'm talking to this guy on Facebook and he wants this and that. You know, they wanted me to send them my address. They are coming to visit when you're at work or something like that. So what you're really saying is that relationship and that what the environment at home that you communicate using your phones and what you do.
Exactly. And there's something that I wanted to kind of add on there. There's an article I read. Actually, it was in the news. I don't know if you've had a chance of looking at it. A 16-year-old committed suicide because the mother, well, the last conversation the mother had with her was try to ride the pony. So she had a horse, and she loved riding horses. It was one of the things that she loved doing, but she loved riding the horse really fast. And the mom told her, you know, you need to be slow. You need to slow down. What she did not know was that her best friend had broken up with her. Like they had an argument with her daughter. So like that is what had contributed to what had happened. And one thing that I just want to anecdote on that, having a relationship with your children not only is about talking what is going on with them, it's not only about knowing who their friends are, but most importantly, know when that friendship is affected. You need to know when there's the signs. For example, your child might be irritable. Don't take the irritability your child might have to be something that it's for you. Don't take it personal as a parent. So say, for example, if I tell my daughter, I say, okay, it's dinner time, or it's time for you to come to the living room, and then she snaps at me or she becomes a little bit edgy, try and find out why she's edgy. For every behavior a child has, there's an underlying issue. It's not, it doesn't just come out of the blues. More than that, try to find out what is going on behind their behavior. And that is how what I meant by having to learn your child, be close to your child. Because you're the only friend, apart from the friends they have in school, you're the only friend that they know.
And with this COVID, you're the only friend.
Right
Most
now,
probably at
you're the
school,
only friend, period. You're the parent, you're the teacher, you're the friend.
and you have to play those roles effectively to for this
And it
child
is
to grow.
challenging.
Yeah. So how do you navigate about that? All these things, again, they are also stressful to the parent. Can we, are we able to kind of also put that stress back to them? Because, you're like, I go to work, I work very hard, I do doubles, and you're just here, you're just in the house, you're not cleaning, you're not doing this. And so you heap everything to them as if they have nothing going on in their life. Have you said there are things going on in their lives? You know, you said at the background something must have irritated them. When they come out, you're
Mhm.
like, you have no idea how hard I work. So you heap your stress on them. So, and I think you're talking about these stressors that teenagers, they end up doing, getting themselves into suicidal modes. How can we now help our parents too? If a parent is you are the Kenyan kissy parent.
That's a very great question. It took some time for me to be able to balance between being a parent. Actually, let me start by this. In March, you remember when COVID started, in March when we had the lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
and kids were told automatically to just go home. So it was not, we were not given any warning. There was no orientation. There was nothing as in a set schedule of this is how things are going to run. One minute you're a parent, the next minute you're a teacher and a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly got fired the first time. The first week or two, I was fired because they would say, this is not the way my teacher does this. This is not the way we were taught.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I try to bestow. I'm an educator too. So I kind of be like, hey, do you know I teach too? Like, this is not the first time I'm doing this? But then I had to really come down to their level of there is a norm that they have. And there is what I call my norm.
True.
I have to come down to what their norm was in order for me to be able to kind of get used to it and for them to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to parents is this. Number one, try to set your schedule and divide your schedule into times when you have your child as a student, you have your child as a child, you have your child as a friend. Now, let me break it down again. As a student, you have to be the teacher, enforcing the rules, making sure they finish their homework, etc.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, you have to make sure that they are fed, that there's food on the table, that there's lunch, etc., and their well-being is taken care of. As a friend, you have to listen to their emotional well-being. You have to be closer to them and not take off that hat of being a parent and listen to what their needs are. It is really hard to be able to operate in these three different hats, especially knowing very well that with what is going on around us, we are also in it, right? We go to work, we are exposed, and we are also
Mm-hmm.
scared about what's going on.
Yeah.
But this is what I do with my children. I have a reality talk with them. Like, it's not faking it. I would say I'm a human being. Sometimes I tell them, if I come and you see me stressed out, if I start snapping, it's not you. I'm also going through a lot at work. There's so much going on. And I'm really trying to make sure that things are okay. But if you see me snapping or if you see me a little bit irritable, don't take it personally. And they'll tell me too. They'll be like, yeah, yesterday, I don't know what was wrong with you. That is a good way because at least now they know me and I know them. So those are the three main aspects that parents need to pay attention to. The second thing, and very important, it's okay to be vulnerable in front of your child.
Okay.
It's okay to be a human being. It doesn't show a sign of weakness.
Hard
It
for a kissy
actually
man.
shows, it actually shows your child that It's very okay to cry. It's very okay to vent. It's very okay to be human.
True.
Sometimes I've had tears come down and they would ask me, so, oh, what's going on? Why are you crying? I'd be like, I had a bad day. This is what happened. Of course, you will not disclose so much of what really happened at work, but just say that I just had a bad day. It was a very tough day for a patient and I cannot take it emotionally. And they try to really kind of make you feel okay. They try to calm you down. They try to, advise you. In that moment, you're connecting with your child.
That's true.
So being vulnerable in front of your child does not mean that you're weak.
Uh-huh.
I do silly things. I dance with my children. Sometimes I come from work at 10:30, I find them waiting. All of them, they're awake. We put some music and we dance. And of course, I don't know how to dance, right? So they make fun of me, they laugh, and they teach me how to dance. And those are the things that just kind of make you vulnerable, make you human, make your children know it's not about being perfect. You don't have to be perfect.
Perfect.
And that is when little things, when they come in, it's easy for them to share, knowing very well that you've already opened that door. You've made that platform easy to step on.
Thank you for sharing. This is very good tips that I, as a father and as a father with a teenager, need to pick up. And I guess to the kissy men, my kissy friends, my kissy amachuma and amasasi, wherever you are, these are things that you have to watch. This we have to change, especially if we are outside here. We didn't have these role models with our parents because my dad, my mom is mom. But these are things that we have to pick up. There's no right way or wrong way. That means we have to figure it out as we go.
True.
Yeah, just figure out something that they love doing, get doing. Their dances are funny. They're not like our dances, and their dances for me that don't make sense. So I try though, like
Oh, the music. Actually, the
yeah,
dances are better. The music.
even their music is it doesn't make add up, but then be there. Again, that is where you are able to know their stresses, their depression, what is stressing them up. They are able to open up. They realize, oh, I can talk to that. I can talk to mom. Now, Sarah, we have a teenager here who's now we are starting to notice changes. What can we see to know that this child is starting to get into there's something disturbing them? We have
Okay,
loosened up.
so those are the warning signs we were talking about earlier. Very good. It's
Yes.
good to go back to that. So the first thing that I talked about is isolation. Especially meal times when they spend most of their time eating meals in their own room. Someone was calling me. Sorry. Um, the second. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The second warning sign is when you have a teenager who starts to lose weight, when there's a problem with weight or a gain in weight that is drastic. Now, we need to remember that some people during stressful times, they deal with this stress in different ways. We have people who don't eat at all, and we have others who binge eat. So the more stressed they are, the more the carbs
The more the
taste better,
sugars,
the
yeah.
more the salt tastes better. And as African men, what do we say? Or African parents, "Mwana mbiade," or this child is okay. They are eating,
That's true.
not knowing that this is something that you really need to pay attention to.
Uh-huh.
You need to know if they are anxious. And the biggest part of knowing that a child is anxious is, let me give the simplest of them all, photos. Most teenagers don't like pictures. They don't. My kids, every time I'll be there with the camera wanting to capture those moments, they don't like have pictures taken. But that is a normal thing with most teenagers, right?
Yeah.
If you have your child not wanting to be involved in some things in the family, say, for example, you're sitting in the living room, you're watching a movie, they want to be left alone. You're trying to really engage them in a conversation. They are a yes and no. They want to get away from you as fast as they can. Those are some of the things that you really need to pay attention to. So the first thing was isolation. The second thing was weight changes. That will be either weight gain or weight loss. The third thing, and I want to go back to the weight thing again, very quick. Most of these children right now, some of them might be losing weight because they are missing out on, say, breakfast, eating lunch and only dinner, or might be missing out on breakfast, snacking during lunch and eating dinner. So it's not an all encompassing and saying, oh, if this child is losing weight, guess what? They're depressed. There's a way you really need to kind of approach it and say, is it something that has been progressive, or is this something that just is starting to happen at a random time? Okay. So just need to know your child again comes in play. The last but not least is the sleeping habits. So kids at night are supposed to be asleep, and teenagers usually have the most sleep. Not even, I don't even know where that sleep comes. And it's something that comes with age. As they get to the teenage period before they become adults, they are supposed to be sleeping about 9.5 hours a day or a night to be able to make sure that they're growing and they're operating okay. For an adult, it's 7 hours, right? So if you find that your child is sleeping less or sleeping too much, maybe you're at work and then you find that they're missing classes, they're not waking up in the morning, they're not keeping up with their homework, they're mostly in bed and sleeping, that's another indicator. So those are the few major ones that I have touched upon. But mostly the biggest one that stands out is the isolation aspect. When they want to be left alone, they don't want to be part of the family. Then the weight, those two kind of concurrently go together.
Mm-hmm. Now we are noticing, and then we now realize this child is something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do we help them out of here? You know, you're starting to notice something different. As again you have said, we don't judge them when you see these things. You just get in and you realize, I see something different with my daughter, with my son. How do you help them out?
See, that is the thing that I always say, you become an investigator. You don't, when you approach a child with mental illness or with depression, you don't rush into it. Because then guess what they're going to do? They are going to be very defensive. They're going to try and kind of play like I'm okay kind of thing. So it's a progressive trying to investigate and finding out what the underlying issue is first before you can be able to really help them. Now, if a child is depressed and they have gone through this time with their friends and you're finding that you cannot be able to help them, we have support groups where they can be able to have other teenagers who are in the same position as they are. And it is easier for them to be able to open up in such a setting. These support groups right now, they actually even are offering Zoom platforms where they can be able to really engage in group setting as like with their ages, and it's easier for them to talk about it. Sometimes, funny, sometimes maybe you're the problem as a parent, so you cannot fix a problem where you are part of the
You are
problem.
the yeah.
Exactly. So that is where support groups really help. But if it is not the fact that maybe you're the one who's contributing to the problem, then it becomes easier to be able to talk to them, engage them in conversations, try to offer yourself as a listening ear, not as a judgmental ear. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Be a listener and not a judge. If your child comes to talk to you about a boyfriend, say for example it's your daughter. You have a daughter, right?
Yes.
Your daughter comes to you and says, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me. First, you didn't know about this boyfriend. Second of all, her age, you're looking at her, she's 16. Before you start talking to her about how she's supposed to behave herself and why she's supposed to listen to you, listen to that aspect first and see what is it that happened? How can I be able to help? That is where you become a friend, not a parent.
That is, it's hard.
It is hard. I mean, it's
Yes.
like you're switching roles in a flash of a second, if you really think about it.
Somebody's saying here, Sarah, Simon Aberry saying, Sarah, we have echo from your side.
That's what I thought earlier.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I thought it was only.
Let me try something here. I hope I don't lose my mic.
Maybe try headphones or something.
Yeah.
This is really good message. I don't want anybody to miss it if we are really trying to follow. Yeah, and Doti says the same thing. Kuna echo Sarah akiongea. So maybe you use headphones.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
And I
You are,
hope someone can say if there's an echo. Simon?
does that solve the problem, Sarah? Simon or Dottie? Let's know. Does that solve the problem? Okay, I see hands. Okay, that fixes it, I think.
That solves the problem?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. I've seen two hands. Okay,
Awesome.
where were we?
We were talking about how to really be able to interventions. So what do we do to really help out as parents? And I kind of mentioned about the fact that if you are a parent, you might be part of the problem. And maybe a parent might ask, how can I contribute to being a problem to my child's depression or mental illness? Sometimes we as parents have very tight rules that literally even you yourself, even if someone would have put that or enforced that on you, it become really hard.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, be a little bit lenient. If your child wakes up at 7:05 and is supposed to be waking up at 7 a.m., that's not a reason to really make it a big deal. Being just like an easy, hey, you're late, don't do that again. Something like that kind of makes it easier for the child.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that is just an example that I gave. So every parent or every household has its own set rules. Maybe the dishes need to be washed at a certain time, maybe no TV at this time, etc. So don't make it a big deal. Try to really look at this child as a human being just like you are. We were talking at work the other day, actually last night, and I said, it's so hard for our kids when they cannot have that social aspect or the social platform to talk to their friends. We go to work, we meet our workmates, we joke, we talk about things that are out of just so that part for us is solved. We don't really get it, how it exists in our children. So when you see your child involving herself in something that you as a parent might label not okay, say for example, if they're talking to a friend that you never liked, maybe it takes you back to what you really need to do best. And that is be the counselor, be the friend. Just be like, hey, I do understand that this is too much, but you might want to watch this person or you might want to watch what you're doing because I don't think it is right. Language really plays a big role in how you are going to communicate with your teenager. They will either close you out or they will welcome you in. Yeah.
True. Wow. I'm thinking about us with this change of weather, the culture, and everything. With our settings back home, we still thought our parents don't understand us. As teenagers, we thought they're not getting us. We were way separate. Now here with everything's different again. I think that gap is way fun. I think what you're giving us things to lower that down, and that I think helps with lowering that. Dottie says something. Resources. What are resources we have? She mentioned care counseling.
Okay. So there are many resources right now, but the one major one is, we have kids who are, say, for example, in our church, we have pathfinders. For me, the first resource that I have for my kids are the age groups or the people that they can be able to safely interact with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are going to a particular church or a community, etc., you know that your child did have a particular number of friends that they can be able to interact with in that particular platform.
Mm-hmm.
Give them some time to really spend time with their counterparts or their friends, okay? That is the first support group. We do have another one here, and I really liked this one when I was kind of looking into it. It's the suicide watch, and especially in teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
It's called SAMHSAS. I'm really going to say that it's SAMHSAS National Helpline. So S as in Sam, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, H as in Harry, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, National Helpline. Their 1-800 number is 1-800-662-HELP. They are a confidential support group that supports teenagers. It's both, the referrals that we've made are both in English and Spanish for people who don't understand English. They do have confidential, like platforms for teenagers to talk to. And these are therapists who have been put in this platform to only help, like the teenagers in this category, mostly teenagers. When I talk about zero, well, let's talk about 10 to about 20, that kind of age group. And they benefit from these helplines so much. One thing that I want to talk to the teenagers who are listening right now, if there's anybody out there who's listening, it's not wrong to reach out. It is not wrong to say, I'm not okay. If you find that your parent might not be a resource to you, there are safer platforms or safer support groups that can be able to help. As I say, there's Samsha does offer platforms where these teenagers can be able to talk in groups. Right now, they cannot be able to meet physically, but they can be able to do it on Zoom. So this is secure. It is private. If you don't feel like you want maybe someone else to know what is going on, they will only share if they find out that it is harmful to you and the community, if that makes sense. So that is the only time that they will share. So if it is harmful to you, meaning if you're suicidal or if you are going to be harming yourself, then yes, they're going to be sharing this information. And this is just to make sure that you're safe. But when they know that it is just that you want to vent, you just want to talk about it, you just want to share, talk about, this thing with other people who are going through the same thing you're going through, they are not going to share it. They will keep it confidential. Now, coming down to if you really want to harm yourself, as Dorothy was talking, when someone who is depressed has gotten to that level, it's not that they can feel what is going on with them. They are looking, it's more like when you're swimming, they feel like they're drowning while everybody else is watching. It's not the case because we cannot tell what's going on in your mind. So for them, they're seeing that everybody else is doing okay, but I'm not doing okay. And so they close it in, they don't share, they don't talk about it because they feel that they are alone. But it is okay to say something. It is okay to come out and say, I am not okay. And for the people that really surround us, this comes down to us. If you see that there's something going on wrong with someone who is close to you, your friend, your sister, your daughter, anybody, and you do not take the step of finding out what's going on and how much you can be able to help, I think we are part of the problem. When someone comes to you and they tell you, okay, something is going on with me, I don't think I'm doing well, and then you take it and you publicize it or you share it with someone else when they confidentially shared it with you, that you are the problem. Because now you're driving them to a point where now they feel everybody knows about me, everybody, because we all want something to be confidential. If we wanted to really talk about it to everybody, would go out and talk to everybody. But when someone talks to you about something, there's a reason why they reached out to you. There's something they saw in you that made them feel that you are a safe place. So make it safe. If they share it with you, leave it at that. Unless you find that they are harmful to themselves or to the community, then you can share with only one person, which is a medical profession. You can call, there's that safe, like the police, so you can call them. It is more of like a well check, just to make sure that they are okay. And when they come and check on you, it's nothing else but just checking on you. If they find that you're not okay, then they will take the step of taking you to the hospital to make sure that you are safe. So, as I said, it starts with the individual, but we as the community, we as the people who surround these children, we as the parents, we are the people who need to identify what is going on with our friends, our sisters, our children. But again, what it goes down to is creating that relationship with that person before you can get to that point.
Yeah. Don't kill yourself.
Correct.
Seek help. And there's a lot of, as Dottie has shared, as the numbers we put there, and as Sarah is sharing with us today, get help. They are so easy and safe ways to share so that you get help. And there's all these resources which can help you. Again, on your phone, you can always Google and get in. And as you said, there are safe chats that you can go into. There are safe Zoom meetings that you can go into. There are phone calls that you can call and talk to somebody. 911 is an easy one. 911, say this is an emergency, they'll take you directly to a person, say, this is what I want to share, and share. And I looked through the Bible. There are so many people in the Bible. We have examples of people that got depressed. So it's not like a new thing. And as Dottie shared with us when she was live, she said sometimes it's the stressors around us, the people that are around us, that make it hard for them to share. So let's check ourselves again. No, if somebody, as Sarah just said, is sharing with you, they have confided in you. They really trust that you can help them. So be that help that they need. Maybe you're the last person they have shared with. And that now helps me also as we move from these governmental standards. We have also the small leaders in our churches that are supposed to watch this and help, starting from pastors, because pastors study this in school, how to counsel. They don't only need to counsel the marriage people are going to get married. Also the young people, they need to like trust you and depend on you, such that if they have an issue, you should be somebody they should call, right? They should know, if I call my pastor about this, he can help me before I decide to kill myself.
Absolutely.
So, or if I call my youth leader, he's able to help me with this issue that I'm going through. So again, I think it's a big challenge that we are throwing out there, but these are the safeguards that we have. If you are not safe going to the government, if you are scared you will be taken to this, as Dottie said, it's sometimes scary to go in because they don't know how to treat you if you're a person of color or anything. Then you have these spiritual leaders that you can talk to, because most of this also can be solved by this. They learn how to handle those. Talk to your pastor. Talk to the people that you love and trust. Talk to these counselors that can help you, and let that be the last thing to kill yourself. Dottie really shared a lot of this with us when she was live.
Sure.
What do you think now? Where are we with the African, with the Kenyan? Where can we improve on mostly as the Kenyan that are up here and abroad here in this? Because sometimes we wait for somebody to kill themselves, and then we say, we could have done better. Let's come together as a community. Let's do something. Then a month later we forget, and we go back to our regular shifts and jobs and to get busy to make life happen. But what do you think needs to change with our community and how we handle this?
Well, the biggest part, before I even get to that, is a very good question. I remembered a group of people that we've not addressed. And these are the people who are abused in their families. Like, so you have a dysfunction, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but you have a father and a mother who are not in good connection. And then now you have a child who is put in this mix. And then if you have any mental illness going on, it's very hard to be able to. We were looking at a perfect family where you are okay, everybody's in sync, etc. What about when things are not okay? That is another topic of itself. But what I want to really talk about this population here, as a mother who's going through that, or going through domestic abuse, or as a father who's going through domestic abuse, open up a conversation with your children. The same thing you're going through is the same thing your children are going through. If you're mentally abused, if you're physically abused, your child is going through the same thing, even if they're not directly affected. They're indirectly affected. Talk to them, because you are their support. They know that you're going through that, and it is easier for them to really open up with you.
That's true.
But one major thing, please seek help. Don't wait until things have gotten sour, feeling that you are bound to really stay indoors and make sure that everything is okay, because it's not okay. Looking at what we are going through right now, partners are, I said this in a live before, I said, after this COVID, people will either stick together because it created a bond, or they for sure will say, no, this is it.
Yeah.
But don't stay in it thinking that you are liable to somebody's I don't know how I can put it, but that you feel like this person has your life and that you really have to stay in this relationship because you want to make it look okay. Because at the end, it's a ripple effect. You're affecting your children. So any safe place that you can create for your kids, Doesn't matter how much it is, doesn't matter if it is affordable or not, it is something that is safe for them. Please do reach out. Now, the question coming back to what you asked about, what do we do as a community? Let us know that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to not be okay. If a person can have a cold and we can take them to the doctor, somebody with mental illness can also be attended to and loved just about the same. If your child is the one who's going through this, don't feel ashamed about it. You have not failed as a parent. You have not failed in what your role is to be able to deliver to this child. It's okay. Because they are not the only ones who are going through this. And that does not mean that all the other parents failed too. The biggest part of it all is try and be there as a community. If, say, for example, someone has shared with a pastor, please don't take it to the board. This was not a discussion that was supposed to be put to see how to help me as a board. I came to you as a minister because I know that you're capable of either praying for me or encouraging me in that particular way. As friends, check on your friend. Call. I am a victim too. Sometimes we get caught up in what is going on around us that we forget. And you just, because you've not heard from so and so, you feel like everything is okay. Check on your friends. It can be by a simple text. I have a friend actually who's really good on that. I would wake up one morning, I'll just see a text saying, hey, checking on you, making sure everything is okay. And it's not that she has to do it, but it helps because you know that someone else got your back. And in that moment, maybe if I was going through something, I'll say, hey, I'm on Highway 169, maybe my wheel is busted and I need someone to kind of bail me out, you know? So you've opened that platform for someone to talk to you. As people who are living like sisters, brothers, etc., know the warning signs that I have talked about initially. Attend to them while but it's still early before it gets late. And when it is too late, if you didn't know, don't beat yourself. It's not your fault. You tried your best just being you and being on their side, but if you could not tell, because remember, these warning signs are not all encompassing. Some people might be going through life and they might be smiling outside, but inside they're dying.
Yeah.
And you might not know that. So if something happens, don't beat yourself. It's okay. Just let go and let God. Okay? But most importantly, as a community and as a people, let us support each other. If someone comes to you seeking for help, don't judge them. Don't judge them. Because we all could go through the same at some point in life. Just help where you can and leave it at that. Confidentiality is the big key. Just keep what you've been told confidential.
Wow. There's something you mentioned there, having friends. So I guess this is also a two-way. Let everybody have trusted friends, because as Dottie said, and as you're saying, once in a while people will get these stressors in life, especially with this COVID. It's so easy to get into a depression mode without knowing. That's why the depression rates are going high. So what we are saying is, have friends you can depend on. Don't have friends that you just chat nothing, and it's just, you're talking about gossiping about other things that they are not helpful to you. You know, if you get in trouble, they will not be there for you. So spend your time wisely when you're having these friends. Know what kind of friends do you have. And as you said, these friends also, like, that's how you can choose friends for your teenagers.
True.
Have friends that have teenagers that you are okay with their teenagers being friends with your teenagers. Don't say, so and so is really good, is my friend, but yeah, with my kids, no. Then that's a wrong friend for you. Have the right family whereby even if you mingle together, your friend is a friend with the other family, you're okay with that. And so when you're in trouble, these are the friends that will bail you out, because like in this situation, you are depending on a friend to help you out. So careful for your friends who you pick up. In United States, we have few friends because we are few, but those few that you have one or two that you can depend on, that these ones can help me when I really need them, instead of having 100 friends that when you're in trouble nobody shows up. Then
Absolutely.
you talked about feeling that burden. Feel a burden for friends. Again, if somebody checks on you once in a while, and once in a week, also check back on them. Know how you doing.
Mhm.
If they are going through a hard time, no, they are going through a hard time. Ask them. Like I know KCC provides food, free food every weekend. So go pick up some food. Check to them if they are going through a hard time. They lost a job. They don't have this. Don't assume and say, it's a hard time. Me too, and my family is hard. And then no. If you're a good friend, care for others too. That's
True.
the feeling the burden for others. Now I wanted to real quick. You talk about the abuse. There's a way you have explained the abuse that I think is worth to look at again. You've said what you're going through, your kids are also going through the same thing.
Correct.
That
Yep.
means if there's abuse in a family, the kids also feel what you feel. Please
It's true.
speak a little bit more about us, about then because that means if I'm abused in my family, I know my kids then are going through the same thing. I have to even stand up for them if I'm unable to stand for myself. Because most abuses happen whereby the other partner is holding on. You're like, I'll be here. If there's abuse in a family and then you're still holding on, and then now as you said, it's spilling to the children, then you have to stand in for the children that are helpless, that really depend on you to make a step.
You know, this is something that I researched actually for some time.
Mm.
When we were growing up in the setting that we have in the African setting, you'd see a parent, like your dad is not happy with your mom, he would shout at her in public, or maybe where you kids are, not in public per se, where everybody is, but where you are in the house. And you'd just be quiet, because you'd be thinking, oh, But then one thing that I realized was if you were eating and then that happens, the kids will stop eating.
Yeah.
They will not eat, they will just be quiet. I'm going to kind of role play it back and put it in a different perspective first before I get to that. When I was young and my dad would, spank me, and I want to put it in a good way, like kind of when you make a mistake. I don't want to put it in any way for it to really seem differently, but that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when your dad spanks you and your mom comes and says, if you know where you really spanked when you spanked that child, it kind of, I could feel it where that child was laying before they were born. So meaning that for every pinch or for every pain that your child is going through, the mother can feel it. Now, what we don't know is we are related by blood with these children. What the mother is going through, what your father is going through, is resonating with this child the exact same way you feel as an adult. If we really thought about it that way, that is why we'd keep any kind of conversations that are not, or any disagreements away from the kids, because then we are protecting them. But when I say that it affects them the same way, if you yell at your wife, if you yell at your husband, your child feels the exact same way the recipient, either the husband or the wife, is feeling. If you're physically abusive to them, the pain that your partner is feeling, when you're thinking you're inflicting pain on your partner only, you're actually inflicting pain on the children too. So if you really see children who are brought up in families that are abusive families, something is taken away from them, and you can evidently see that in their faces, and that is their self-esteem. The happiness is gone, the smile is gone, they're drowning inside. So it's very hard to really read symptoms of either depression, mental illness, and emotional um, downfalls, or not being emotionally well. So that is where I really bring a family perspective of where you need to be safe, to be able, in order for your children to be safe.
To be
And I'm
safe.
talking to both sides here. I'm talking on the side of the mother, and I'm talking on the side of the father. If either of you are going through abuse with your partner, know that your children are going through the same thing. Staying in the relationship will not making it better. Because one thing I believe in, if someone loves you, they will not abuse you. Nothing makes it better by you staying there. Time doesn't change it, makes it worse. Because you become numb, And same thing applies to the children. It becomes a norm. It becomes okay. And then it becomes, finally, they end up being the abusers. So it becomes their destiny. So if we think about it being that way, in that manner, you'd want to really rescue your child as soon as you can. Rescuing them means getting out of it, not staying.
I'm a big believer of that. Uh, don't stay in an abusive marriage relationship. And again, that goes even to the teenagers and the young people that we are talking about. If don't, because that's where it starts and then it gets into marriage. You're like, oh, when he or she we get married, we'll be okay. You know, this will change. If they're abusive, they never change. As you said, they are what they are. If somebody is abusive to you, don't stay, because again, as Sarah is saying, it's affecting even the children, and it spills over to the whole home, and everybody in the home is stressed, and you don't deserve that. If there's separate yourself for a while, be safe. Safety is the most important thing. You know, you are Christians, we don't advocate divorce. We are Christians, we are not talking about divorce. We are talking about separation. Take your time. If there's no reason why you should be in a marriage if it's abusive. Thank you for sharing that. And I thank you for the evening that you have looked at these stressors, these things that as a family, again, we promise to make our home safe for our children. We promise to make sure that these children grow the way our parents, as much as they were that, they made sure we were what? We were safe. They made sure we were eating, we were healthy, we were doing okay. They'll follow up with how we are doing in school. They'll follow up in their own way where we grew up. And so we owe it to our children to make sure that they grow in a safe and healthy environment. And then they can be, don't stress, be a good Christian. We want you this and that without giving them that basics that we are talking about.
Yeah.
As a comment here, I want to share with you, Dottie.
Dottie, we were there. We were there. But the only thing is, there's a comment I made to someone one day. I said, when people cross paths, they cross paths for a reason. When people cross paths, it's because you were meant to cross paths at that time. So I think God wanted you to be stupid at that time. And then now here we are. So it's an okay thing. It's okay. But I want to really talk to Dottie specifically because she came out and she shared her story. There's nothing as hard as sharing your story to the world, putting it out on the table to help someone else. You have become vulnerable. You have showed that it is okay to be vulnerable, but at the same time, you are still standing tall. That is one thing I want to talk to the listeners and say, it is okay to share. Because it doesn't mean that you've showed weakness. It doesn't mean that you're not strong. It means you're really strong. And that is the road to healing, which is you have accepted your situation. You know it's not okay, but you know it's okay to not be okay. Because with time, you're going to be fine. And with time and support and talking about it and encouraging somebody else, you're going to be okay. So Dottie, I really want to applaud you because you are a model to other girls out there who are going through the same thing you're going through. But most of all, to our community, for us to know that you are part of who we are. And we need to support you. We need to embrace you. We need to be there for you. We need to make sure that everything is okay on your end. We can't fix it all, but just being there in itself, just knowing that somebody is just a phone call away, that helps a million.
Dottie, they say that what doesn't kill you
makes you stronger.
Makes you stronger.
Yeah.
These are the people that are strong.
Yes.
As we said, these are things that all of us will go through in life. We all have these ups and downs, again, your brain might be stable, but some things will happen. You'll have a loss in your life. Life is never, hallelujah every day. So when these are the people that we rely on. Like now, I had to rely on Doti to come and share her experience for people to know. And so God allows you to go through some things so that you can be able to share it to people who will not handle it the way you have. There's somebody head teacher said, God gave me this because then that means I'm really strong to handle it. Doti, you're really strong to have handled what you've gone through.
True.
Some of us, if we have the message about our kids, only that message, leave alone all these other things, just a message about your kid, that now we are stopping all that is something that will crush most of us, you know. So you're really strong, and God gave you because He knew you will handle it, and
Very
you're
true.
now modeling it to us and explaining to us. And when we watch your videos online, we are blessed. We listen to it. We know this is hard for me to handle, but I pray for you. And again, we have been here, which is unfortunate that we haven't been sharing this. And so what she's feeling is, to the young people, I guess, Sarah, that these young people, I wish they can hear this message, that
Yeah.
these are things that are there. There are many people going through the same thing. Hanging on there, have somebody you're talking to, have a friend you can confide in your fears and what you're going through, so that when you really need them, they'll be there for you. That's why I say specialize even in friends. Don't have 100 friends. You're always on Facebook talking to 100 friends that none of them can be there for you. Have even only 2 friends that if I'm in trouble, this one will show up for sure. You know,
Absolutely.
we have hit our 1 hour mark, but I was wondering, any close. I feel like keep talking to you, but I try to make these videos as short as we can, so that somebody can
Yeah.
say, if I sit for an hour, I can listen through this. So they don't give up. If they see a 2 hour video, they'll be like, 2 hours is long.
It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much.
So again, in the month of December, I really need you. We're going to share about mental health, you and Doti, in the month of December. But what message do you have now for the young person out there wondering, this is timely, what do I do? What message do you have for us as a community too?
So for the young adult who's going out there, the teenager, anybody who's listening to this, and actually I don't want to really restrain this to, or just make this only for young adults. Anybody who is going through mental health problem, anybody who is going through difficulty this time during COVID, I just want to encourage you and tell you, you're just a phone call away. I want you to know that there are people out here who care for you. I want you to know that it's okay to go through what you're going through. And I want you to know that committing suicide is not the solution. Life is so sweet. Think about the car that you wanted to buy when you grow up. Think about what you wanted to be. Think about the places you've not visited. Think about France. Think about the best in life. Think about the princess kind of lifestyle. Huh? Think about what you wanted to do before it got vile. Know that it is doable. Know that you can do this, and know that it's not over yet. So only thing I can say to everyone out there is hang on. When things get sour, when things get too bad, reach out to someone. Call a friend, text to a friend, and it shall be okay.
Wow, thank you, Sarah. It's a
Yeah,
blessing to talk to you.
thank you.
It's been real. I've loved every minute, every second, whatever you said. It really touches me as a father. It touches us as a community, and I'm realizing that there's more we can do. There's more we should do,
True.
and we should not give up that fight. Let's not wait for another teenager to harm themselves or kill themselves. Then we say, we saw this and we could have. Please reach out to all the resources that have been shared here. Reach out to us. We can direct you to the people that can really help you. And if you have a story, please come on and share with us. I thank every listener that's been online listening to us. May really God bless you.
Thank you.
Sarah, may God bless you again. May you say hi to those little kids,
I
young
will.
people. I know they are all young people. Say hi to them, and may God really bless you. Talk to you again another time.
And thank you for having this platform. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to reach out, because it's who you know that makes it help another person. So I really want to applaud you, and may God bless you and your family. Until next time.
God bless you. These are the stories that we love, and in frankly speaking, these are the stories we want to hear. If there's somebody you want to hear, want to come to this show, please let us know. We'll invite them, and it will be a blessing. Thank you,
Will
Sarah.
do. Thank you.